This video is only going to be a little bit about Season of Discovery, but I'm going to start with that part first. A lot of people are probably wondering how their class is going to be, how the 20-man raids is going to affect their raid team, going to make them make new decisions about how to allocate loot, how to choose who makes it into raid, and of course, having to expand your team potentially right now is going to be quite complicated for a lot of people. This is some advice that I would have for you. You need to find out what you actually want your group to get, what your goal is for your group. Or if you're not running a group, what is your goal for yourself? For example, if your goal is actually to be the best warrior player possible, then you don't really need to worry about the state of balance in the game too much. It's not a huge deal. But if your goal is to be the top DPS in your raid group, then class decision is something that you really ought to put a lot of your attention on. And in the same way, if you are not running a guild, then you could probably just not worry about the loot policy of your group. It really won't matter too much as long as you think that the group's going to last a while. But if you do run your guild or your group, loot policy is very important, and it's something that you should put a lot of focus on, in my opinion. I can't give you any real tactics on how to tackle those problems, but this is how I've handled it in the past. I love playing Warrior. It's my favorite class. I always play it at the start of an expansion, but I've always had dreams of my teams being very, very strong, and so I have made alts right away after maxing out my warriors every expansion, so that way I am able to swap to them in case they are actually the thing that needs to be played, except in Classic, because I just knew that warriors were absolutely fantastic. But in TBC, I had a Feral Druid. I didn't use it a whole lot, but I did have a Feral Druid. And in Wrath, I had a Prot Pally, because Tank Warrior just was pretty bad if you wanted to have a very serious group. It would cause problems for your raid team. The threat generated for mitigation was horrible on Warrior and Wrath, and that was a really big issue playing it. It meant I had to take more healers. And so I gave up on the Warrior, so that way my raid group could basically have one less healer, which made a way bigger impact on my team than my personal play ever could. So that's how you should really be looking at these problems for yourself. If you want to run a guild for a little bit, and your goal is to have some fun in Season of Discovery and just try out being in charge, then maybe you don't need to worry about long-term problems. Maybe you can just worry about making the next few weeks fun and just taking it week by week. But if you have dreams of having a team that you really get along with and accomplishing particular goals with that team, then you need to be very careful to think about all the decisions that you're making right now. And the same way, if it's really important to you that the people in your raid group think you're super essential to the success of it, then playing Warrior may be a little dangerous. I wouldn't be too surprised if Warrior could be good. I mean, we're going to get Recklessness, so depending on the length of the boss fights, Warrior might be absolutely insane, or if they're pretty long boss fights, that might completely dilute the meaning of getting Wreck. But if I wanted to join somebody else's raid team and I wanted to ensure that I'm an asset, I'd probably play like a tank shaman. That's probably one of the easiest ways to do it, or one of the other really consistently high DPS classes, probably one that's ranged. But if I wanted to run a YouTube channel and talk about warriors, then I'd probably play a warrior, and I would just try to be the best warrior I could be. Or maybe you just love warrior and you just want to be the best warrior you can be, and you're okay with being middle of the pack in a raid team, and maybe people not paying a whole lot of attention to your gameplay. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that's actually what you're after, because there are a lot of people that do not like being middle of the pack. And so now we'll transition to what the rest of this video is about. It's about having the actual vision for what you want and getting it. And the way that people usually cloud this is they try to think of the decisions that they've made recently and they feel trapped by them. Maybe you're running a guild and it's been 10 mans, and so it's not too hard to pug people and fill. And so you've been putting up with some stupid crap from people. Maybe they're not super reliable at showing up, and so you allow that. Well, here's the thing. If your goal is to not have to do that forever, you need to just nip that in the bud. It's got to end. It's got to be, hey, you want to be in my group? You need to show up consistently. Because it's going to become untenable as the raid sizes increase. At 20 man, it's going to suck. I used to run ZG pugs literally every day of the week because I had like 3 warriors. And so I would run a ZG pug every day of the week, speed run it with full world buffs. It was so fun. And I pugged all the time for those runs, and it was terrible. Eventually, I just started doing like 14-man ZG speed runs, and you could still clear ZG in like 30 minutes with 14 people if they care. Because it just like literally getting the extra 6 people that are clowns out of, trade chat or whatever, that would maybe take me 30 minutes and they'd be as valuable as like my 2 worst people that I consistently get. So I was like, you know what? 14 man, because I didn't want to have to force a larger group of people to consistently show up to ZG. You're going to have these same kind of issues with Sunken Temple. 100%. So you need to really figure out what kind of stuff you're going to put up with long term, because otherwise you're going to be on a ride that sucks. Same way if, let's say, you're in a guild and they haven't done good, and maybe they're like, hey, 10 mans aren't all that serious. You've been talking to the GM and the raid leader, and they're like, it's gonna be different, it's gonna be different, it's gonna be different. I'm not saying that they're trying to lie to you, but they're full of shit. Because when you want to get serious, you can make a group good fast, because the game is really, really easy. And so if you have people in charge of your group that actually care and are passionate, it's pretty easy for them to get other people amped up. I haven't ever had the luxury of slowly amassing an amazing team. I've always had to pull it off quick every time I wanted to do it, because prior to making all the amazing teams I've made, I have been in teams that have slowly degraded and that sucked to be in. Over and over again, I've made that mistake, and then I break off from them. Maybe some people come with me, I make a new group, and it's really hot, and you can do it fast. So if anybody's trying to, if it feels like you're getting strung along, you are. I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm just saying that if they were serious about pulling off the things they're telling you, they would have pulled them off already. And so, a way that I'm implementing this now into my life is I had some interviews scheduled for, you know what this means, L5 software at Amazon, IC4 at Facebook. I thought that it would be cool to practice for these interviews, stream it, show the potential rejection or offer letter I'd received like a couple weeks after the interviews, and then deny them if I got an offer, and be like, look, I'm turning down all this money. I don't care about this anymore. I'm going to now focus on YouTube. And actually, I just got a email from Facebook saying that they're canceling all the interviews that aren't already deep in the process. And so then I just went and messaged Amazon. I was like, you know what? Sorry, I'm no longer interested in a position here. I'm ditching the idea of software at all. I'm going to go way more serious on YouTube. This is going to be a full-time thing. I am not going to make the mistake of delaying getting YouTube bigger for myself. So I'm done with the high paying tech jobs. I'm gonna do the low paying YouTube job, and I'll figure it out. And I challenge you to do similar things in the game for yourself and in your personal lives too, if you're feeling a little more like a risk taker right now. Definitely make sure with your class decision, with your leveling partners, if it's important to hit max level rapidly to you, and the guild you either manage or that you plan on raiding with at level 50, those are the biggest decisions you're making in the game right now. And you absolutely cannot compromise your vision on how those things are going to play out just because you have some friends in your current guild. If just playing with your friends is your primary vision, hey, by all means, you've already won. But if you want to get 100 parses, you're probably going to have to ditch your friends. If you want to be the best DPS, the highest productivity DPS in your group, whatever that means, like maybe it's not literally the highest DPS, maybe it's like you're number 3 and you're a feral druid and you're super essential to your team. Maybe it means that you just have to be number 1 on the meters. Your class is going to matter more than how well you hit the buttons, okay? Don't compromise that. Or if you want to make a new group and change the culture and try being excellent and not putting up with BS, playing a warrior tank is a little dangerous because, hey, if you just picked a shaman tank, you'd almost for sure not have it cause you a problem. So maybe that would be the right move, and then you can swap to warrior later after seeing how it is. find out what you actually want to get and take the shortest path there. Instead of being like, okay, where am I currently at? Where can I get what's the coolest place I can be a month from now if I don't make any major changes? Because if you do that, what'll end up happening is if you're running a guild, you'll have all the low DPS losers and unreliable people that cancel last minute coming up with excuses over and over again about why they suck and why something came up. Sorry, it's like my mom's birthday party. Like, fuck you. It's bullshit. You know, it's bullshit when people can't give you large notice on why they don't show up to stuff. It's bullshit. You know, when people suck in raid consistently, you know it's bullshit. This game, you make a decision every second and a half. I'm positive, absolutely positive. If I got like one of my parents to play and they never play video games and they took it seriously, like they could play most of the classes that are range DPS and get 99s in just about no time, because like literally it's like hit the buttons in this order, go like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 and have these consumes and stand in this spot. If people aren't performing, it's them. People aren't showing up, it's not their real life, it's them. If you're in a guild and it's not doing well enough and the raid leader and the GM's telling you they just need a little more time, they're full of shit. They don't need more time. If it was serious to them, they could fix it quickly. This might sound ridiculous. If you don't believe this but you would like to believe it, you should go message some of the GMs of top guilds in Season of Discovery. I assure you they'll respond, okay? I am positive. I have had them hit me up. I've had my friends hit them up. People that they don't know the names of. They are passionate and they like talking about their guilds. And a lot of these guys, their guilds are new, even though they're doing super, super good. Because when people have their attention on the right shit, things change fast. That is what you need to want for yourself and your group in the game and also in real life or whatever. Don't put off getting on the right path. It's not to say it's going to be easy, but if you limit yourself to only doing the best plan that you can pull off in the next couple of weeks, what's going to happen is that you're going to be in for a whole lot of pain. Almost for sure, unless you've already hit your goals. If your goal is just to hang out with the boys, treat raid like a bar, hey, you're probably good. Stay where you are. Don't stress yourself out. Getting high parses is it's only meaningful in your head. Like externally, it's obviously meaningless. It's not like you're helping people, you know, and you're not really helping yourself either. Even if you literally had straight 100 parses, you wouldn't be able to get paid for it. Like all the people who get paid to play the video game, it's because they entertain people. It's like skill doesn't matter at all. At all. It's an internal thing. I like being skilled at video games because it makes a little voice in my head say I'm a good guy or something. You know, it's like it's fake baloney. But if the voice in your head says you want to do certain things, you know, you need to get serious about it. Because if you don't, you're going to get strung along by excuses that you generate and excuses that the people you play with generate. So pick the right class, play with the right people, and if you think there's issues in the culture for your current group, hey, you got to clean house, all right? And that might mean that you have to recruit people, and that might mean that you have to hit up strangers and ask them, do you want to play with me? And they'll not respond to you, or they'll ask you a fuck you question. Like, I mean, I had questions like this even when I was running a guild that was like top 50 in the world. I've had this many times. It'd be like, yeah, well, like, I don't know, can I get the BIS item next time it drops? You know, it's like, that's a stupid fuck you question. Or like, yeah, well, like, how good did you do on blah boss? You know, like, that's a stupid fuck you question. If they're actually serious at all, they'd like go check your shit out. You're just gonna have to put up with it. It's just part of the process. But definitely don't try to slowly dig yourself into things not going the way you want, unless you want to end up like all the guilds I've canceled before, where every time I've messed a guild up, it's been by slowly putting up with stuff that drove me fucking crazy. And then one day I'm like, it's over. It's over. Everybody, the show's done. Bye bye. Bye bye. I've done it so many times. I'm not going to do it again. If I make another guild again, I will make sure that that doesn't happen. But I'm not going to make a guild again, probably. But if you're making a guild or you run a guild, you need to take your time very seriously. Or if you want to parse really good, you need to take the group you're in very seriously. And by that, I mean you got to be in the right group. And if you want to be particularly high on the damage or the healing meters, hey, your class matters a lot. Or if you really want to be a tank in a really hot shit group, your class matters a lot. Can't compromise on those things. Put your attention on them and then make some decisions.